How you doing, Rory?
I'm doing excellent. It's good to see you.
Me too, man. Me too.
Unfortunately, I'm having some weird computer issues with my work computer, so I'm using my tablet this morning. So I'm still trying to figure out exactly where the camera is on my.
You're perfect. Your voice is good, and your face is right square on the dead center.
Yep, you look fine. Steve?
Just gonna check. Can everyone still see me?
Nope.
Okay.
You're on now, Rory.
Got it.
Cool.
All right. I'll use my computer for my notes.
Now you're back.
Okay, start my video. Okay. There. Okay, good. Have you got me?
Yep.
Good. Okay, great. Well, at this point, let's just move along then. Let me find this agenda. Good morning, everyone. I'm sorry, I've been sitting here for not quite 10 minutes trying to get myself on, and Lewis had to resend the link for the WebEx. So my apologies. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Muted? Good. Okay. Nice to see everybody. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. And I'm going to see if I can get my agenda set up here.
It's on the screen here if you want to take a look at it. Give me one moment.
Yeah. Why don't we do that?
There you go.
Okay, let's thank you very much. Okay, first of all, just to announce the next meeting will be June 22nd at 8:30 a.m. Next up, could we swear in the staff? Who is here from the staff? Anybody besides Lewis?
Right now, it's just me.
Hearing none. So, do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Let's do the roll call. Lewis, I'll let you do that one.
Okay. Just a moment here. Let me get up my materials.
Take your time.
All right. So let's see. Do we have Steve Whitman?
Here.
Okay. Mike Lusk?
Here.
Okay. Jana Maniaci?
Here.
Bob Loverson? He's not here. Tony Slanik?
I'm here.
Ted Hardesty? Okay. So we have four commissioners. We have a quorum.
Okay. Next, do you want to review the hearing format, please, for us, Lewis, before we get started then?
Yes, if you don't mind, real quick. Let me pull that up here. So thanks for joining the meeting. Attendees are muted upon meeting entry. You will be unmuted as appropriate. Actually, I'm going to ask you to mute yourself here in a moment if your case isn't up. The chair will call on participants to speak. If you have questions, you may send a message via the chat to the host, which is me. You will be required to have your video featured on if you are speaking. And the meeting is being recorded and it's being live streamed on YouTube as well. The meeting materials are at the link below at the columbus.gov Downtown Commission website. Comments received via WebEx chat will not be part of the official public record. So applicants and speakers, please turn off your video at this time. The meeting's already started. Use the hidden control panel in WebEx. If you put your mouse down on the bottom half of the screen, it'll pop up. So to turn your video off and to mute yourself. And when it's your turn, when it's your case's turn, please turn your video on and we can swear you in. Speaker slips are required to be submitted no later than 2 hours prior to the virtual hearing. I did get a speaker slip from Kathy. I apologize, her name's slipping, but from the for the West Main Street case from the landmarks. So we do have one speaker for that case from Columbus Landmarks. So the order of speaking will be city staff will present application materials in the staff report. Applicant will be sworn in and asked to present any additional materials. Registered speakers will be sworn in and provided 3 minutes each to speak. And commissioners will discuss the case and ask questions if needed. That is all.
Okay, very good. Let's see, you have got that. Before we get into the meeting, I would just like to spend a few minutes, take a couple minutes to talk about Otto Beatty, both our friend and fellow commissioner, whom we lost here last week. That's a great loss. He was a great positive person and how many years had he been on the commission, Lewis?
18 years.
18 years. And always had good insight, was a very positive member, and he will be greatly missed. Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say with respect to Otto? I know we all feel the same.
Just like losing a friend.
It is indeed losing a friend. Yes. Yep.
I was always very impressed how much he deeply cared about the community, and every comment he would make on the commission came from that point of view. It was always about how it was going to affect people and how the community could be more inclusive. And he was really an advocate for that. And I think he left a wonderful legacy, something that, you know, we will always cherish and draw upon.
Yeah. So, well,
I put together a small little, I don't know, a small little blurb about his life, if you want me to read it real quick.
Sure. Why don't we do that?
Much like I did for Danny Palmore. So, it's always difficult to lose a colleague, and the Downtown Commission has lost 2 respected commissioners this year alone. Just in 4 months. It's pretty rough, but he passed away on May 14th, 2021, and it was actually almost 4 months to the day since the passing of his longtime friend and fellow commissioner, Danny Palmore, who passed away on January 15th. He was a respected colleague and friend to those of us currently on this commission, as well as to past commissioners and city staff. I had a phone call with Daniel Thomas, and we talked about it for a while. He was pretty shocked to hear about it. He was a husband, a father, a grandfather, a lawyer, and an Ohio State representative who dedicated 18 years of service to the Downtown Commission. He was a founder and senior partner of Otto Beatty Jr. and Associates, and his accomplishments, you know, professionally in the legislature and the community sectors, they're well known. And he had lots of awards, honors, articles, and professional affiliations as well. As the commission's vice chair, Otto felt it was important to represent a balanced view between the Downtown Commission guidelines and the different architectural tastes and financial limitations of the various architectural firms and developers. As the commission's only attorney, he attempted to keep city staff and his fellow commissioners aware of court decisions that could potentially affect the commissioners and their interpretation of the guidelines. His many years of service contributed to the transformation we have seen in the downtown district and in recent years. So his knowledge, experience, kindness, and perspective will be missed by all. And he is survived by his wife, Representative Joyce Beatty, his daughter, Laurel Beatty Blunt, his son, Otto Beatty III, and his grandchildren. And I only knew Otto, of course, for a little over a year that I've been on this commission, but we had lots of phone calls discussing things, and I'll miss him. He was a very nice man.
Thank you. Yep. Well put together. Thank you very much for that, Lotus. Okay, let's get on to the meeting. Are we ready for the first case then?
I think we have to approve the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. The staff report. Has everyone had a chance to look at it? I saw one small typo and I can't remember what it was. I'll take another look at it and get that back to Lewis. But are there any other corrections, deletions, additions? Hearing that, could we have a motion to approve that report, please?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, Tony and Jana, anything else? Otherwise, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that the minutes are approved. Okay, now we're ready for the first case. And I think what we're going to do, Lewis, you've got something that you have want to start off with today. Is that correct?
Yes. So today we have with us, Roy McGinnis, and he would like to speak with us for a moment during the public forum section of the agenda. Okay. So Roy, if you're ready.
Great. Thank you so much. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
I'm a deputy director in the Department of Development and one of Lewis's colleagues, and Chair Whitman and members of the Downtown Commission here to brief you on a proposal by the city in the Arena District to create a designated outdoor refreshment area, or DORA, in the Arena District. A working group of pertinent city departments, the city attorney's office, and city council have been working with the Arena District on this effort. We believe that creating the DORA will add to the vibrancy of downtown and provide more opportunities to our Arena District businesses. So the first thing you might be asking is, what is a DORA? So the Ohio Revised Code gives mayors or city managers the ability to make an application to their legislative authority to specify an area of land within its jurisdiction to be exempt from certain open container provisions. In general, when the DORA is active, patrons can purchase alcoholic beverages from Arena District establishments and then consume the beverage anywhere within the DORA boundaries. However, the beverage must be in a DORA branded cup and supplied by the establishment or the individual purchased the beverage. And then the person cannot bring that beverage into another establishment within the DORA that has its own liquor permit. More than 30 DORAs have been created throughout the state since 2015. In Central Ohio alone, Delaware, Grove City, Hilliard, Lancaster, Marysville, Powell, Worthington, and Dublin just a few days ago have all adopted DORAs. Earlier this year, Cincinnati created a DORA in the Banks area that includes all of its sports and entertainment venues, similar to what is being talked about here in the Arena District. So the question is, why create a DORA? And the DORA, the reason why all of these different communities have created DORAs is that the DORA provides more ways for residents and visitors to enjoy that area. So it offers more opportunities for people to enjoy the Arena District. Patrons will be able to travel more freely between the restaurants and multiple sporting venues and public open spaces where many events are held. And the establishment of the DORA will also be an excellent opportunity to provide more opportunities to downtown businesses. We have letters of support from Experience Columbus, the Greater Columbus Sports Commission, all the sports teams, and bar and restaurant establishments in the Arena District. To give you just an insight into how this would be operated, the DORA would be active 3 hours before every Blue Jackets, Clippers, and Crew game until 11:59 p.m. that day. And Louis, if you haven't already, if you could share the map of the district.
Sure thing.
The Arena District, when it comes to the, but it'll be nearly 20 acres, and the map shows where you're to carry a DORA beverage. The Arena District has formed AD DORA LLC to manage and operate the DORA, and the LLC will handle DORA marketing, cup distribution, creation and maintenance of signage, and any supplemental sanitation services that may be needed beyond what the city already provides to the Arena District. And then any additional public safety will be provided by the sports teams. We believe that the existing services, along with supplementary public safety and sanitation services, are sufficient to keep the Arena District safe and clean. Special events organizers will also be able to activate the DORA on non-game days by working with the Special Events Division of the city's Recreation and Parks Department, who will then collaborate with the LLC. And just to give you the last part of the presentation is just how the DORA gets created. And this is where we're at right now. So first, the mayor submits an application for review to the city clerk. That has not happened yet. But when the mayor submits that application, the clerk will publish public notice of the application, and then council will hold a public hearing on the creation of the Arena District DORA. A minimum of 30 days after the public notice has been published, city council can approve or disapprove the application in an ordinance or resolution. If council passes the DORA ordinance, then the city clerk provides the application and ordinance to the Ohio Division of Liquor Control. Then Liquor Control does their review and issues DORA designations to the applicable permit holders, and that process can take up to 3 weeks. That's really the briefing on the DORA, and just want to thank everyone for allowing me the time to brief you today, and welcome any questions or feedback that you have. Thank you.
Rory, on the map, it shows that the southeast corner of the new stadium is not within the DORA. Is there a reason for that?
The that part of the stadium is actually the property of the stadium, and they intend to sell beverages on that plaza there using their liquor permit. So that's why that's not shown there. We don't want to give the false impression. That's the nuance of the DORA, is that you could purchase a beverage and you can take it to different places within the DORA, but you cannot take it into a separately licensed facility. And so that's why that's not shown there.
Same question for the new proposed riverfront park.
That's the map itself was a collaboration between the Arena District and the city. I think part of the reason why the park is not in there is the park is not yet completed, and I think the separate part is I think that they want to, they're comfortable with how they've laid out the boundaries right now. The boundaries over time can be changed, and we anticipate that, you know, as this gets put forward, that the boundaries will change. And if they do, then we go through the same process that I had laid out before in creating it. So we'd have to do the public notice and then have council vote on those measures. But from a boundary standpoint, this is what the both the city and the Arena District felt comfortable from a first phase. And I think that that park over there is something that could be added in the future, but just something right now that don't anticipate happening at this moment.
One of the questions that I had for Rory when I first looked at this thing, and I looked at it, Lewis and I looked at this and talked to Rory last week, but boy, I don't know if you walk out of one of these establishments, you got a drink. I don't know if you are going to be able, I'm looking at this map. I don't know if you're going to be able to tell, when you're okay and when you're off the grid here. And it just seems a little kind of strained the way it's kind of laid out here. So as opposed to having an area in which the whole area is included, it seems to me to be very confusing to try to herd the cats into all these little red line spaces here.
I appreciate the feedback there. The Arena District DORA LLC, AD DORA LLC, will be working with the city to create the signage throughout the district.
Create what, Rory?
I'm sorry, the signage that would that would demarcate the boundaries. So it would be, they anticipate at least 40 signs going through this area to show you, you're within the DORA, and here's where here are the rules of the DORA, and then here's where you need to not have your beverage anymore to be in compliance with the ORC regulations. I think you've got a really good point. I think regardless if we had a big, huge rectangle that had highlighted this, I think the issue of the boundaries always exists. And I think, it's going to be a learning process for people. I think at first people, just like anything, I think, at first it might be somewhat confusing, but I think as we work through it, I think it'll be really apparent on things. The other thing I would just mention is, even though you might see a DORA map that blocks out an entire area, this is really showing exactly where you can carry the beverage. And so the connection, what the Arena District has tried to do is really balance the desires of its tenants in the office and residential side of things with the desires of the sports teams and the establishments. So that's another reason why you don't see a huge, block of orange here from where you're able to carry the beverage. But as we move this forward and hopefully gets approved, that we can work through any issues that might happen as a result of it. But very good.
Would you
question.
briefly, either Rory or Lewis, tell us what you're looking for from the Downtown Commission, please? Or are you is this just by way of information?
This is just informational at this point in time. Mm-hmm. There won't be any COA associated with this because all of our COAs are based off of some sort of construction permit. And so Roy is just coming to us to provide some information and keep the Downtown Commission abreast of this development. And Roy, you can add anything to that you'd like.
I was just going to say, I think Lewis spelled it out very well. I was just going to say, your feedback as the people that are very in tune with what is going on in downtown and all the things that are happening. We felt it was important to give you the briefing today and appreciate the feedback that you have provided and hope to continue to receive feedback from you as this moves forward and as it hopefully becomes operational.
I had one question. If we could look at the map again quickly.
Yeah, just one
okay.
moment.
Sure, take your time.
There you go.
Okay. It's still loading. Let me see. Okay. I noticed that the DORA, it wraps around the office building that is west of the stadium. But then it stops. It does not include the housing to the north. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. It kind of again to kind of balance the needs of residents and offices as well as the retail establishments. That's how the district had proposed the boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any other questions or anything for Rory? Comments? Okay. Well, thank you very much for bringing this in.
Oh, thank you.
Appreciate
and I will make sure that Lewis, shares my contact information and really welcome any further questions that you might have or feedback, and just really appreciate the service and expertise the Downtown Commission provides. So, Commissioners, Chair Whitman, thank you so much for your service.
Thank you. Well, we appreciate your bringing it in to show it to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Lewis, let's move on to the first case then, please.
All right. Thanks, Rory. Here we go. So the first case is going to be our continued applications. We have two continued applications. This is Columbus Crew Way, construction of a 5-story parking garage. I apologize. This is a typo right here. I didn't see. They're appearing for a request for action, not conceptually, with a proposal for a new road and a 5-story parking garage. And they will be facing the west entrance of Crew Stadium across Columbus Crew Way, and it will form the southeastern edge of residential block A and will have 690 spaces that support Confluence Village and Columbus Crew Stadium. They appeared conceptually in March, and here you can see what the comments were at that point in time. The packet has been updated in the following manner. Details on the north and western facades, including the addition of mesh panel graphics. Details on Cahill Drive, including a planting schedule. Signage details. Details on the bike hub and interior wall graphics. And cut sheets on the finishes and materials. And so I've broken this up into two separate applications. This one, the first continued application, 2104-014, will be for the parking garage. And then the commission provides recommendations to the Department of Public Service on road construction. And so we'll also do both of them right now, but our recommended application for recommendation is for the actual roadway itself. So that will be a second one. So one vote on the parking garage and one will be a recommendation to DPS on the roadway. So we can do those separately. So my analysis is that the guidelines state that unique expression is encouraged, but should be influenced by the pattern of nearby buildings. For each primary building frontage, at least 60% of the area between the height of 2 feet and 10 feet above the nearest sidewalk shall be cleared non-tinted window. Public art is encouraged. The proposal generally meets the guidelines with regards to building design, parking, materials, and public art. And the Pizzuti companies provided a letter of support, which I shared with you yesterday, for this project, which is included below. And you can see that down here. No site visits because this location is still under construction. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Who's here for the applicant, please?
Greg Bry with Moody Nolan. How you doing? Good morning.
Hi, Greg. Good. Anybody else with you, Greg?
Yeah, I'm Brian
yeah.
with Moody Nolan.
And Brian? Okay, Greg, Brian.
You have
Anybody else from the applicants?
You have Tony Rell from MKSK?
Tony, okay. Anybody else? Okay, would you folks please, you've identified yourself, and I assume you've got that, Lewis.
Yes.
Would you raise your right hands? You swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay. We can have the applicant proceed with this. We've looked at this pretty carefully. If we could, instead of starting from scratch, maybe focus on what might have been different. I think we heard positive comments about what you brought in before. I think people are feeling good about it. As I recollect, we had questions. There was a comment about some lighting, perhaps. And again, what we have done from time to time is we can approve a project. You can come back later on lighting if you want to do that to finalize that. We did hear comments on the west wall and the north wall, which we're calling that section related to the courtyard there. So why don't you guys take it from there and do kind of an overview, and let's see where we go with this thing.
Okay, well, I appreciate the time once again. It's been a few months since we were in front of you with the conceptual design. That time lag was really used for our team to work with the developer stakeholders, so the Pizzuti group and the Haslams. We've pretty much been meeting almost on a weekly basis. There's a lot of pieces and parts that need to work together with this, not just the aesthetics, but the function of how people move in and out of the garage. So I think the biggest change probably the last time we were in front of you is the name. So I think we were Confluence Village last time, and now we have an official naming to the area, which is exciting. So I'll kind of just point that out. As far as the overall kind of just makeup of the garage, the circulation is pretty much stayed intact. So we have a north east entry exit with the flex lane, and then the post shade area just south of the garage is the alley, and has an exit and ingress into the garage as well. Currently, right now, just so that we're on record of the most accurate information to date, we're currently at 681 spaces. That's a combination of standard parking spaces, a small percentage of compact spaces, EV charging station spaces, and accessibility spaces that are dedicated towards the vertical circulation towers. So I think we were hovering a little higher last time, maybe about 690 is what we noted, plus or minus. Some of that has become the reduction of, again, just working with the direct connections off of the apartments at the upper levels. So we had to give up a few spaces there so that the function was working. Overall, the height's the same. The position of the garage is the same. So the setback off of Columbus Crew Way is about 25 feet. And then off of the alley, we're about 13. Like you had mentioned, Commissioner, the biggest, our biggest to-do list was really to work on the courtyard elevations. I think, Columbus Crew Way was received well. We have not made
By the
any
way, while you're
really.
there, Greg, are there changes to that from what we had seen before?
No. So what
Okay.
we're representing along Columbus Crew Way, really what we've been doing is working on the detailing. So, what
Good.
you see is a pretty,
Right.
well-defined rendering, almost real life. We do understand that the mural is a placeholder right now. It's a placeholder in the sense that we know we're going to have to come back with what the image is. So
Fine. That's
it's
fine.
going to be something, artistic in nature that helps tie in with the rest of the development. We don't see it as being billboard signage,
By
but
the
we
way,
will come back with that.
I like it. I think it looks good. Very interesting.
So it's a nice backdrop. It's a nice moment as you're walking from the tower to come along the walk before you get to the stadium and get a nice Snapchat, Twitter photo or whatever social media you want to post to yourself before you get into the game. So yeah, nothing really there. We've working around the south side again. We really just tried to hone in on what the bike hub wanted to be and become. So we feel it's an important part of the garage. A lot of parking garages don't have this amenity, and we felt that it was really important to highlight it. Just as a nice point coming off of the bike path from the west, and then really a direct connection from the office space. So if you look at the office plan, which you've seen before, that lobby is basically a direct look through to the bike hub. So we centered it up on purpose of where it's positioned at.
And it looks like you're making that kind of a transparent space, so you can kind of participate in that from the outside.
Correct. Yep. And right now it's opened up, so we've got 2 larger scale openings, and you'll see the plans and the imagery that's inside that. We also have some amenities that we're offering, working with Robert Farron and his team. We'll have a bike kind of tool station, pump station, as well as within the garage, a tire pumping station for the cars. And that was another area that we're just trying to provide some different amenities due to the nature of the garage and its position with not only public coming in and out, but just the day-to-day worker and the residents. So
Very good.
we are we anticipate we are showing some signage here. A lot of the signage that we've implemented into the garage is really tried to be more sophisticated in look. So, something that, provides direction and gets people to where they want to go, but, kind of not make it, just not mesh well with the garage. So the perforations and the lighting that you see in some of the precedent imagery at the entry points, as what we're showing right now. We understand that we would come back with any additional signage that would be more, kind of your plaque signage and your kind of typical box signage if there was any desire to add anything else. But working with the team and the group, we feel that it's appropriate and it fits well with the aesthetics of the garage.
Okay.
We continue our discussions with Pizzuti. They've got a whole graphics and wayfinding, plan for the district that we'll also want to make sure that this meshes with that as well. So, there might be some font type changes when that gets further developed.
Okay. Any other comments on the courtyard north and west spaces aside?
I have a question. I noticed in the packet, there's something, there's a material or a panel system called Flex Facade that you're using. And is that being used for the mesh panel or for the perforated panel? I'm guessing it's for the mesh.
So what you see in the image that Lewis has pulled up here, the flex panel is everything you see with the colored imagery. So it's kind of the art wall at the corner. So one of the changes that we made in the plan was we actually carved that corner out of the garage inside the courtyard. It gave really two things. It opened up the corner a little bit for the program that Pizzuti was needing for how they wanted to lay that space out. It also kind of created this interesting little, kind of jog that you could actually, we don't have probably a good graphic, but you're going to be able to see it through the lower story space of the residential from the street. So everything that you see in the kind of the mosaic there is the stretch flex fabric. And again, it's pretty opaque from the outside, but you could see directly. If you're inside the garage, you could see right through it.
And does that have any dimension to it, or is it just a flat surface?
It's just a flat surface.
Flat surface,
So
okay.
it's really like a canvas.
Mhm.
And there's there's a few installations around the area, one being out at the John Glenn Airport. They've used it, and it's been a product that's been installed out there for a number of years. And that's just a monolithic color. It's just a white color out there. This would obviously be additional to the mosaic out front, something that we would come back and decide. It would have some relationship to what we were doing out front there with the imagery.
On the
So.
east. Okay. And
Now-
I had
Go ahead, Jenna.
I just had one other comment. I think that the parking garage is beautifully conceived, and there are many creative things going on. And I think, it's a very positive addition. But because of because it seems like there are a number of residences that face the west and the north facade. I'm wondering, especially on the west facade, where you have such a large extent of the perforated panel, if you had thought of doing something with that. I don't know, maybe varying the perforations in certain areas so that it almost has like an organic fluid look to it, so it's not as stagnant. I'm just thinking about other areas of the project, of this whole project, and how many times there's an interesting sculptural feeling or something that's subtle but really gives it visual interest. And I'm wondering if there's a way that you can manipulate what you have or add a little bit to what you have and give that effect, because I'm just thinking that's a large expanse, and there will be a lot of people that have that view. And also on the ground level where you have the concrete, if I don't really know what the finish is on that, or maybe there too there's an opportunity. So I just was wondering what you thought about that. And sometimes renderings don't really portray what it will actually look like, so I'm really asking you more. Do you feel that this is visually interesting enough, or that it's in keeping with the spirit of the rest of the project?
Yeah, I'll kind of share some thoughts, and then I'll turn it over to Brian
Sure.
to chime in, because he's the designer of this. We've worked a few months now with the Pizzuti team to put together something that we felt was appropriate on multiple fronts. So something that didn't provide too much pop, but the challenge here is what we're looking at is really a bare courtyard. This is Moody Nolan's courtyard here. Tony's team from MKSK and Pizzuti, they've got a whole layout and imagery of what the courtyard is. So what you're really missing is large trees and that space really activated. We're just kind of ghosting it out and really focusing on the garage facade itself.
Yeah, okay. I was thinking that was going to be the answer to that one, that there will be a landscaping in that Central Park area there. Let me ask, is that correct, Greg?
Yes, and I want Brian to kind of chime in.
And let me
his,
just real quick, so we understand what we're talking about. Only people at the courtyard will really not be open to the public, right?
No.
The public, I mean, that's just for residents of the apartments in the courtyard. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's just so everybody understands that. It's basically Pizzuti's apartment people's backyard. Okay, and so go ahead.
So
I just
Brian,
wanted to
you just want
clarify
to
that.
share kind of the, you know, the sequence of how we got to where we were. There's a lot of iterations.
Yeah, and I'd just like to add, and thanks. That's actually a good question because it's exactly the design process we sort of went through with Pizzuti and Haslam, everyone as a team, and we looked at a lot of different ideas about large organic moves across the facade to kind of match the way we're working on the Columbus Crew on the street sides, right? That it has some kind of motion to it. But we landed with the thing we kind of landed with this a simple backdrop and this sort of elegant pinstriping, if you will, kind of texture, very fine texture, but it's still readable, being kind of somewhat consistent, and then allowing the site design to really sort of be the feature of this. Because as we realized, and these views here are the sort of from the farthest corner, if you will, standing in that sort of courtyard spaces at the various corners to kind of understand what we're seeing. But what we realized as we went up in the building is people really are focused on the ground plane. And so that's where I think that's where all the energy is going to come from. And we, as a group, actually decided to downplay and to simplify and to make more elegant the backdrop of the garage. And so at night it's gonna be very different, and the artwork is that sort of lantern to kind of pop, so at pop those corners. But other than that, it was kind of meant to be a nice backdrop. This is the brick wall is, and so the brick wall is definitely a private sort of garden wall, and
that's brick, not concrete. That's not concrete block then, right? It's
Oh,
brick.
I'm sorry.
It's stained concrete, so
stained
it's going to
concrete.
be stained to almost a darker charcoal or black finish. Because
Okay.
again, what you're really missing is the layer of landscaping that comes
Yep.
across that,
Sure.
Right.
and kind of masks.
Okay.
I'd say a majority
Good.
of that wall.
Okay, thank you for your comments on that. Are there any other questions or comments?
Oh, I just wanted to say I respect what you did. I think that's good that you thought it through and you're thinking about the courtyard and what would be best. So, I appreciate that. And I was wondering too, with the pinstriping, it looks like, at least in the rendering, it is a little varied anyway, that it looks like maybe it's just the rendering, but it looks like there's a little variation in the, how close the pinstriping is.
I think that's just a rendering technique, but you do sort of get, as the panels overlap at joints, you do get a pattern, a consistent pattern and a larger pattern sort of reading through. So
Yeah, Louis, if you could go to there's a little snapshot, I think, of what that looks like on the material sheet, just to give a better visual.
Right, and the package does have all the materials, the cut sheets for the various materials. We also know that with the site design isn't just plantings, sort of screening the garage. It will also incorporate some lighting. And you saw there's sort of a reveals in those concrete walls. And we're thinking about not a lot of excessive lighting, but just dramatically sort of uplighting from the ground, and to kind of create this nice, and that will in a sense give the perforated panel some undulations, so it won't be so consistent at night.
Are you going to come back to us with the specifics on the lighting then for that, please? Or do you have it in your package today?
We only have the garage lighting in the package, and that was that light study that was done because there was a lot of conversation. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, Steve.
No, I'm just going to say, so in other words, what you're talking about that would be in the courtyard there, is that part of the lighting package you got on there? Okay, no.
Not part of it.
Okay, but that could be done with the courtyard and the landscaping on that. Okay.
Correct.
Good. Okay, by the way, I would just, everybody got, Louis sent out the copy of the letter in support of this from Pizzuti. So that came out, everybody's seen that today. We're not going to read it, but everybody has had a chance to see it. Any other questions or comments? Jana or Tony or? Mike?
No, I'm good.
Is there,
I
is
just had
there
one
okay, I'm
small,
sorry, go
very
ahead.
small thing. When the bike hub is being discussed, I'm wondering when you come back from for signage, if you think, and I don't know what other people think about this, maybe a very tasteful blade sign that maybe has the logo of the bike, because I'm wondering if other people that aren't from the housing, the housing complex would, or the office building would know that there is a bike hub there. So it's just a
Okay.
thought when you're thinking
thought.
about your signage, because it's a really nice bike hub.
And the landscaping is all in the package then, right? And that's pretty much what we saw before, which I thought was
Correct.
very nice.
Correct.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the group?
I'll move to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion, and there's a second. Okay. Any other questions or comments? Anything from I beg your pardon, Louis?
I was going to say, is there, so they're going to come back with the graphics and the lighting. Is that correct or not?
Is that correct, folks? Greg and Brian? Final on the lighting?
Yes,
and
we'll be
final-
coming back with excluding, I mean, what we have in the package right now, the entry points, so that the perforated panel entries there with the Columbus Crewway, and
Yeah.
if you could pull that up real quick.
Okay, so yeah.
And by the way, I think that's fine. We've had several kind of adjustments on signage on the Crew Stadium itself.
Right.
This is a big project. This building here is a big project. So, feel free to come back and tweak things, and we're happy to look at it. So,
Are we okay with?
But I think what we'd like to do is approve what we can today.
Yeah. So are we okay with them approving something very similar to those graphics? And if they tweak it, I can staff approve it later on if it's just a slight tweaking.
I am. Is everybody
Okay.
else?
I'm good with that.
Heads. I'm seeing heads nod in an affirmative. So yes.
Okay.
Okay. Good. Is there anything from the audience? Any comments? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval say aye. Aye.
Hi.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you for your application. I think this looks very nice. And Jana, thank you for your comments on this thing. Okay, let's move on to the guys. Thanks a lot. We'll look forward
Thank
to
you, everybody.
seeing it.
Yeah, thanks all.
Looks really good.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you.
next case, please.
Okay. 1 second here. Okay. So the next case, B2, it's our next continued application. This is One Riverside Plaza, American Electric Power Service Corporation. So it's a request for action for signage on graphics. So I won't read it. We saw this last month. Not much has changed. They just provided additional details on their proposed graphics. You can see the comments from the last meeting where there was some discussion about the scale. Loversage thought it was too big, but Whitman thought it was appropriate. So did Lusk and Hardesty, and Maniaci did have some concerns about the back of the signage. So my analysis is that although skywalks are generally not supported, in cases where a skywalk is supported, its design and color should be such that it is muted and its overall presence subdued so as to not draw attention to itself. So in summary, while the graphic is generally designed in an aesthetically balanced manner, staff has concerns that its placement makes it auto and not pedestrian oriented, and that the sign is drawing attention to the skywalk. And then I do have some site visit pictures. I'll just pull those up again if we want to see them. And I'll pull up the presentation as well. So this is what they've provided. So we have more details on how the sign is going to be attached to the bridge, how the wiring will be fed in to the letters, how it's going to go through the supports. And then here's the location. There's the bridge, and that's it.
Okay, and this sign is on both sides of the bridge or just one side?
Both sides.
Both sides. Okay, who's here for the applicant, please? Is there someone here for the applicant?
Yes.
Is it
Yes.
Michael Cox and Jeffrey?
Yes.
Jeff
Okay.
Tomlinson.
Okay. Anybody else with you, Jeff?
No, it's just the two of us.
Oh, and Michael Cox, would you
Yes.
please raise your right hands? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
Thank you very much. Okay, guys, we've seen this. Let's just, do you have anything different, or are we clarifying, or let's go from there. Thank you.
Well, one of the concerns and questions was the structure of how the sign would be held up. So we've added that to the first page.
Okay.
All of the structural members align with the window mullions, except one we had to add to address the top copy of the American letters on there. So all these vertical and diagonal and horizontal members align with the existing window mullions or structural steel that's behind the window mullions. So we hope that it will be painted the same color of the mullions and the ACM panels that are at the top and the bottom. So the intent is to have that all go away and blend in with the existing structure.
Okay. Show us which ones are the ones you're adding then, if you would. Can you
The
do
one
that?
there, you'll see right there, there's a horizontal that runs right behind the word American. And that does
okay.
not align with a window mullion because there's not one there. But all the other ones either align with the window mullions or with the diagonal and steel that's inside the building or inside the structure.
Yes, good.
So,
okay.
and
right.
that will also house the wiring. So all the wiring will be within those horizontal and diagonal members.
What's the brightness on these? How do you measure that, or how do you determine that, or what are you planning for that? Is it illuminated during the day then as well?
It will not. It doesn't need to be illuminated at night or in the daytime. I mean, it will be tied into the building management system or with the photo cell, so it'll be turned on and off with the ambient lighting, the regular, all the other lighting in the system.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Can it be adjusted? Let's say if you find it's too bright, can that be adjusted?
Yes, there is a dimming system we could put on it with the LEDs. Yes.
And I'll tell you what the nature of the question is that we're kind of toying with how to get the right amount of brightness for illuminated signs and graphics downtown. And I have to admit, I'm not sure we have all the answers for that. So it might be the kind of thing, that we might come back and say, hey, we've got a new set of standards or something, and see if we could get you guys to tie into it. I'm going to think we don't have a problem with what you would do anyway. But so anyway.
Well, it is, and that's kind of a complex question and answer. I know. It has to do with the ambient lighting and the whole area where it is and all that. So.
Right. No, I agree. And it's up in the air, and it's So okay. Questions? Anybody else from the commission? Do you have a thought?
I just have one question, and I think you already addressed it though, because it's glass and the signage is on both sides. From the inside, or even when you're on the outside looking past the first sign to the back of the second, I think you said that the wires are going to be concealed, and I just want to make sure that the back of these signs look finished and and not a distraction or not really sloppy.
Right, and the back of the signs will be painted to match the steel color that's on the inside of the structure, which matches the mullions and all that. So on the inside, that's what you'll see. is that color. And it's kind of a, as you can see, it's kind of a beige, light beige color. I don't know what that color is, but that's what will be painted just to kind of hopefully match the surroundings.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. What's the pleasure of the group?
I move to approve.
And that's Tony?
Yep.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Okay, there's a second. Are there any other questions or comments from the commission? Any other questions or comments from the audience? All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay, that motion carries. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Motion to
Yep.
approve. Thanks, guys.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, Lewis, next case, please.
Okay. A moment here to pull it up. Okay. So the next case is I'm sorry, my there we go. Okay. So the next case is there you go. It's DC 2105017. It's 16 West Main Street. It's a request for action. The classification is demolition and parking, and the applicant is proposing demolition of a 2-story building to be replaced with 7 parking spaces. These spaces will become part of the surrounding Schiff Public Bicentennial Park open lot parking, which currently totals 0.52 acres and contains approximately 75 spaces. It is unclear when the building was constructed. However, the Sanborn maps appear to show the building standing in 1887. The 1,792 square foot wood frame building has solid brick exterior bearing walls resting on stone foundations. Jamie Goodman, the city's historic preservation officer, has indicated that the brick storefront appears to be a later addition. The applicant submitted a structural investigation of the building, and the report concludes that the building represents an imminent danger to the health, safety, and welfare of the public at large. His report notes the presence of toxic mold, a lack of structural integrity of the brick walls, and that the foundation and framing are in poor condition. The city's chief building official, Amit Ghosh, reviewed the structural report presented by the applicant. His department is currently in the process of having the report peer reviewed by a third party. So staff analysis is that the guidelines state that while demolition sometimes makes way for projects of greater significance, it has often led to empty lots used for surface parking. The long-term effect has been the loss of continuity and the architectural fabric of many downtown streets. While the commission should consider if the building is in a deteriorated state such that it cannot economically be rehabilitated, it is the general intent of the guidelines to encourage the preservation of downtown's building stock. With regards to the surface parking proposed, the guidelines state that surface parking has had a detrimental impact on the character of downtown. Surface parking should be located to the rear of buildings. Parking should be screened, and limiting the amount of new surface parking will ensure a responsible approach to the provisions of downtown parking. So in summary, staff has concerns that the proposal does not meet the guidelines with regards to demolition and surface parking. The commission will have to determine whether the structural report and the proposed parking justify the demolition of the existing structure. And I did go take a site visit of this location. So this is the main bar. This is the west side of the building. You can see it has a mural. Here it is again. Here you can see the building with this brick facade that is bowing out right there. Here you can see where there is some cracking here on this side of the building. You can see kind of the building bowing out there. Here's a close-up of the crack. It's the storefront. Here's cracking on the other side of the building by the storefront as well. Here is an image of the main bar. You can see there is a hole in the brick, although our historic preservation officer did point out that this appears to be a window that was bricked over at some point in time. Here you can see the eastern facade of the building. Here is the eastern side of the building. Here's the facade of the building. You can see the windows, storefront. It's kind of a rear view of the building, and here is the rear of the building. And that's it for me. Thanks.
Okay. Who's here to testify today in this case?
Chairman, this is Mike on behalf of the applicant. We have a number of people that will be available to testify. They would be Scott Schiff, my client, Jared Schiff, as well as Joe Lewis.
Well, how do we want to do it? If you think they want to testify, we can swear everybody in right now, or we can see who's going to be needed. How do you want to do that, Mike?
Mr. Chairman, I would
I'm sorry,
ask that,
I couldn't hear. Yeah, go ahead, Mike.
can you hear me now? Okay,
Yes,
I would
can
ask
now.
that our Joe Lewis be sworn right now. He's our structural
Mike,
inspector.
you're breaking up. Could we try to back up for a minute here?
All right, I'm sorry.
Now
can
now I'm missing you there.
I don't know why.
Okay, now I can hear you for the moment.
Okay,
This is a-
I will try to not move.
Okay.
Okay, so
Bad
the only
connection.
person that besides me, bad connection, you want me to call back in?
You know what?
Can you call in? Yeah.
That? Should we
Okay.
do that? And do we want to hold off on this and go on to the next case, or do you want to just call right back, Mike? See,
Sorry
that's
for the
really a bad
inconvenience.
connection. No, you're not inconveniencing us at all. Don't worry about that. But we want to hear you. But maybe what if you disconnect and then connect back? Does that sound good?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Because this isn't going to function here. And then Amit, are you going to be testifying?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Okay, then we would want to swear you in as well. What do we want to do, Louis? Do you want to try to get Mike Shannon back on, or do we want to go on to the next case and then come back when he's hooked up?
We have everybody here, so why don't we just wait right now? And
Okay, we've got him. Yeah, let's do that. And I just saw him. Is he back on now? Mike Shannon?
not yet.
I don't know, but
I see his initials there in the lower right-hand corner, and he's got himself muted, or somebody has him muted.
You see Mike Shannon?
Yes, I see Mike Shannon on there. On the screen. His name and his initials.
So what Mike should
Mike,
do
can you
is,
hear me?
we hear you. Yeah, did you call in, Mike?
There's-
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Okay.
Now we don't see
Get
you.
him
Can
on
you
the-
activate your
Get
video?
him on the video.
Okay.
There you are.
Okay,
You have
we
me
can
now?
see. Great.
And you can
Let's
hear-
do this, Mike. Let's get everybody from your group that might testify, if they would, and just swear them in right now. Does that sound good? Okay, so.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, we have Mike Shannon, we have Joseph Lewis, and Amit Ghosh with the city. Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say I do.
I do.
I do.
I do.
Okay,
I do.
go ahead. Who's going to speak for the applicant then, please?
Mr. Chairman, it's Mike Shannon. I will speak on behalf of the applicant initially. As the commission members are aware, the standards for this type of demolition request is codified. And obviously, the applicant has had a structural engineer submit a report that indicates there are some very serious structural problems with this building. such as to render it unsafe for occupancy. The standards that are utilized in the code refer to economic hardship for the rehabilitation of the building in unusual and compelling circumstances. I think most importantly, the other part of the test asks the commission to evaluate the value of a so-called replacement project. And I want to make it clear that the parking lot that we're proposing as a replacement project is a short-term use, that the Schiff Properties have been working diligently on a proposed development that would engulf this entire vital corner in downtown Columbus. And want to be able to proceed with that. But this building is creating liability for my client. He had to evacuate the residential units on the second floor due to safety concerns. And we really feel that it's a public nuisance. I wanted to state for the record that we would acknowledge that a building, just by the sheer age of this building, would have historical significance. Mr. Chairman, this building is historically significant to me because it's, I think, the only bar in downtown Columbus I was never in, but that's probably not germane. But the applicant would be.
And you said that under oath too, Mike.
So, but the applicant would want to, in good faith, commit to provide a HABs report in the event demolition is eventually approved. We understand the importance of those reports in documenting the historical significance of this building. But quite frankly, we feel the problems with the building, it's outlived its usefulness, and it's an impediment to our future development plans, which we could share with you after maybe the inspector does his report. Louis, that would require, I'm sorry, Eric Zartman, my associate, is also on the call, and he could share his screen to show the actual replacement project that is in the works. And it's the prerogative of the chair if you'd like to see that now, or if you'd like to get into the meat of the discussion from our inspector, Joe Lewis. So.
What's the pleasure of the commission? You want to see the proposed plans, or, it raises one of the questions is that why wouldn't you come and ask for the demolition when you've got the plans ready to go? And then our standard is, is what's going to go in, is what is going to go in better than what is there. And that, as opposed to tearing down a building just to put parking there.
Well, with all due respect to the commission, we think that the condition of the building is such that it merits demolition from a public safety, health, and welfare standpoint. Over and above that, it certainly meets the economic hardship criteria if we were to try to maintain it. It has become, it was an attractive nuisance when it was open, and it's an attractive nuisance when it's closed. And the liability that Mr. Schiff could incur in this site is significant. And for those reasons, we feel it's important to do the demolition first. When you see the replacement project, you'll realize the magnitude and scope of that project, and it clearly will exceed the value that is lost by the demolition of this property. And I think that's the statutory test that we're looking at. With respect to the city's third-party inspection of the building, I certainly understand that, and I hold Amit in the highest regard professionally and personally. And I would understand while I've never, all the demolitions I've been involved in, Mr. Chair, I've never seen staff run it by the chief building official before. And I know that I'm not in charge there, and they're certainly able to do that. But I think Amit can speak for himself. He made a determination that he wanted a third party to look at this. But I think if you get another structural engineer's report, it's just going to go to the nature and extent of the damage that exists on site. And it really won't address the economic hardship that is a critical component of maintaining the building, which is part of your criteria, Mr. Chairman, for making this decision. With that, with permission of the chair, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Lewis. I assume you've received a copy of his inspection, and he could run through his concerns as a structural engineer about the property, if that's okay with the chair.
That's fine. Go ahead.
Okay.
Joe?
Joe Lewis. Yeah, as you saw in my report, yeah, I am concerned about the building. The area of most concern is that front facade wall. There's significant bowing in that wall, bulging. The vertical cracks along the side, both sides, are a huge warning sign. And that is the one area with that public sidewalk that's right out there in front and that brick bulging. I'm old enough to remember the Ben Espy thing, and it makes me extremely uneasy. And so that's my number one concern. Obviously, the rest of the building is in various levels of disrepair. In order to even do a safe investigation of it, I would need the building shored up a little bit for me to even do that. But from all of the framing, I was able to see interiors all substandard. It's shored up. It's a patchwork of shoring. The wood 4x4 is just resting on the concrete slab. It's sloping. There's past termite damage. Don't know when it was. It's not active, but it's past. There's moisture damage. And, I did see what looks like mold to me. That requires additional testing to see is it mold and is it toxic? It's potentially toxic. And there's also the side brick walls have a rod that goes through the wall with the plates, the old let's tighten up the walls and hold them in. So that there was a past repair to those side walls. I don't know when it was. It looks like an old repair, but at some point the side walls were also bulging, and they made some attempt to keep those in with one rod. So all in all, once again, the immediate concern is just that sidewalk out there and that bulging facade. Something needs to be done with that. And then the rest is just a whole series of repairs that would have to be done to somehow try to make this building habitable.
Okay. Is there someone else that wants to testify? Anyone else today?
Mr. Chair, I don't know if my client, Scott Schiff, wanted to make a statement at this time. I wanted to give him that opportunity. Scott, are you there?
I'd be happy to. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can. Scott, would you, I don't think we've sworn you in.
Are you, does he have video?
Scott, we can't see you.
He called in due to some technical difficulties, but he was one of the people that was sworn in previously.
We usually require video in order to speak.
I can't get the video to work, and my kids who understand this are all in school.
I do believe the city attorney has indicated that if you can recognize the voice, which I certainly do, that you would be allowed to testify. If not, it's the call of the chair.
Let's go ahead. I mean, Mike, you're going to affirm that this is Scott and identify him. Is that
yes,
correct?
Sir.
I think we should go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and make your statement then? And I don't know that we need to get involved testimony from somebody we can't see, but Scott, why don't you go ahead and make a statement if you'd like to?
I appreciate that. Thank you. My name is Scott Schiff. I am an attorney. I was sworn in 1982, and I represent that this is me, and I think Mike and I went to law school together, and we've known each other almost 45 years. He can identify me.
Okay.
I appreciate the opportunity to briefly address this issue. My biggest concern is that we had rent-paying tenants in there. We had a bar, and then we had a second-floor bondsman. And we had been working on development plans pre-COVID. When COVID hit, we of course put everything on pause. We have a drawing for a building that we're back on track to do, and that development is not confirmed yet. We're not the detail of that development we have not agreed to yet, but we're going to show you a picture of something that was pre-COVID, and we're back on track to start readdressing for development. In the interim, we had to get rid of both of our tenants. We would have preferred the income, and we'd have preferred to leave them there until we were ready to develop the site, which might be 8 to 12 months out by the time we get our plans done, our permitting, etc. Nonetheless, we told these people to leave because of the risk to the building. This building is very, very dilapidated, as evidenced by the testimony of our expert. My law office has been within 100 yards of this building for over 25 years now. The bar building used to have a tailor shop right next to it, an identical building that housed Luigi's tailor shop. And when we bought that building, which was just a parcel on that corner, we tore it down within months. And that building was actually a lot better shape than this building, and we never had any pushback. The irony of this is that I'm in a situation where I cannot get rent because I'm afraid to put tenants in there. I have to monitor the site at nights to make sure homeless people and vagrants are not at risk by hanging out near there. My liability insurance on our package, and we insure hundreds of millions of dollars of real estate on our insurance package under our portfolios. This one has been threatened to be not insurable because of its state. Because as owners, we have a certain obligation to maintain our property. Well, we are ready to demolish this danger, this eyesore, this attractive nuisance, this liability. We are ready to have that demoed like in 2 weeks if we can get your cooperation. And in fact, we have offered the fire department the opportunity to employ some exercises they wanted to do there to prepare them for downtown issues that come up. They can practice and teach their new recruits how to deal with a building of that nature. So I mean, for our purposes, both as the owner of the building and just as a citizen and a proud Ohio resident and a proud downtown Columbus resident.
We got it. I think we got it. Thank you. I think we got the message. Are there anybody else here today who wants to speak? Amit, did you want to speak today? And Becky, I'll get to you in a minute.
Mr. Chair, only if you have questions. If you have questions, I will answer it. Why I requested a peer review, I'll answer it. If you don't, I don't need to.
Why don't you tell us that, if you would, please?
Pardon me?
Amit, yes. Why don't you go ahead?
Mr. Chair, thank you. What I found unusual, and with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for Mr. Schiff, Mr. Shannon, and we've talked about this project. And what was unusual to me is that we haven't had a history of issues with this building. And I'm not questioning the integrity of Mr. Lewis's report, but it is unusual that a building goes from being occupied by tenants to imminent danger of collapse in a very short period of time. What I mean by that is that if Mr. Lewis said, these were the sizes of cracks in 2020, May of 2020, and these are the sizes of cracks now. If he had a history of involvement, that would probably establish the imminency of the whole situation, but I didn't see anything like that. I saw a report from him in early 2021, maybe January, February timeframe, and I talked to him as a professional courtesy, and I said, you know, your report doesn't convince me that this is an imminent threat or it is an imminent danger of collapse. And then the next report came. So I don't know what happened within a few months' time, or maybe maybe 4 or 5 weeks' time. And Mr. Lewis could speak to that. And when I read the report, what I observed is that he makes a two-step recommendation. He tells his client that they should barricade the front of the building. That's his first step recommendation. I don't know if that's been done. The photos don't indicate anything like that. And the second step, he said, prompt plans should then be made to raise the building. So I don't know if we've done step one to get to step two, but I believe in the meantime, I'm hopeful in the meantime that we will get the peer review, and maybe my hope would be that Mr. Lewis's report will be affirmed by a second structural engineer. And because this was kind of unusual, this was unusual for a building to become an imminent danger from being occupied so quickly. That's why I said somebody independent needs to look at this.
Okay, and let me ask you this. Is that in process? Have you requested that independent review? Yes. And when do you expect to get that back?
I should have gotten it back by now, but I'll check on it and see what facilities has an engineering contract. Our department doesn't. I can let Lewis know when we get the time frame back.
So the answer to that is the time frame is basically at any time now.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other comments? Becky, I saw you raised your hand. Would you like to comment? And would you identify yourself? And by the way, did we swear you in?
We did not.
Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So say I do. Okay. Would you identify yourself then? Thank you.
Yes, I'm Becky West with Columbus Landmarks. And every month at these meetings, proposals that demonstrate an investment in creating a more vibrant downtown are considered. And I want to start by thanking the Columbus Development Department staff and the Downtown Commission for their careful review of each and their input on them. Columbus Landmarks believes the plan to demolish the main bar, listed as the Heron Corbin Saloon in 1890, to add 7 parking spaces to an existing surface lot is a step backward for our city. The plan for additional parking today does not support any goals or vision for downtown. It undermines the progress made in the adjacent blocks, and most importantly, it represents disinvestment in downtown. There are more than 150 acres of surface parking lots downtown today. Most are, of course, greatly underutilized since the pandemic. They all represent prime opportunities for future infill, but today they are dead zones that detract. On this site, we have a historic, funky little building with a fun mural. And yes, it's a holdout, but one that adds some character, interest, and diversity to downtown. 5 years ago, there was a creative initiative called Bold Booths that designed and installed parking attendant booths in surface lots throughout downtown. Perhaps for now, the main bar could be the boldest booth of all. But until there is a real proposal for something productive and additive for this site beyond surface parking, we urge the commission to vote no to this demolition. And we encourage the property owner to bring their talent and experience to this key site with a proposal that represents a commitment to an investment in a healthy and successful city. Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else who would like to speak today? Are there any questions from any of the commission members?
I have a question.
I would wait as the
I'm
applicant,
sorry.
Mike. I'd like to say one final thing.
I'm sorry, who's speaking, please?
I'm sorry. This is Scott Schiff. I would just like to respond briefly.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman. Hello?
I'm not hearing anybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Go ahead.
Mike, if you want to table this until they get their report, fine. But I would just like the record to reflect that we are ready, willing, and able to remove this liability within 10 days. And if we table it and somebody gets hurt or something happens, I just want the record to reflect that we have vacated the building, we are foregoing rent, and we would like to remove the liability because it will cost more to renovate a building that's ultimately coming down than its value as it sits.
Thank you.
Okay. That's a comment from the
Continuing
applicant then. Okay. Are there any other questions, comments? Anything?
I have a question. I think it's for Mr. Schiff. You mentioned that you had to vacate the building. And when did that happen? How did that come to your attention? Was that something that you observed on your own? Was that something that residents pointed out to you? I guess I'm trying to understand when it came to your attention that the building was in a state that you realized it was dangerous and you couldn't have tenants in there anymore.
Yeah, I'll be happy to answer that because no person in their right mind would forego rent if everything were fine. This came to our attention roughly when we applied for a demolition permit, which I think was within the last 6 to 9 months. I'm not sure, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
But
yes, it was.
But this, so miss, this corner was comprised of about 7 different small owners of different pieces. And we had assembled the pieces over the years. And when we found out, and as I said before, I go by this building every day, probably 5 times a day, because our law office is down the block. The Schiff Arnold Law Building is about a 25,000-foot building there to the west on Main, at 115 West Main. And then our building before that was a few blocks closer to the bar. When you go by it every day, and we would see the wood on the side would be sitting on the parking lot. We would see bricks that come down from the building. We'd have to send our maintenance guy over there at times to recover debris. Secondly, the bar sits on an elevated part of this lot. They're unlevel surfaces. We own the entire vacant parcel right now, and our goal was to get rid of this danger and to level the surface parking lot. We've had people fall on this lot because it's unlevel, and we just think the prudent thing to do is to remove this building and to level the lot so that it's all one level until it's ready for development. This is a critical corner of the downtown, and in fact, it's part of your development incentive area in downtown Columbus, where they're offering abatement and other economic incentives to encourage.
Okay. I just wanted to.
Okay, Jana, anything else?
Yeah, just one thing. So you applied for the building, the demo permit before you realized that you had to vacate the building. Is that what you said? Because you said that it was after.
No, we vacated the building once we realized it was time to get rid of the building. I mean, the building was a risk. I don't know
Okay.
exact dates.
Okay.
Okay,
It's all
okay.
within
Good, I
the
think we have the timeline.
That's
Are there
fine,
other-
Scott. That's
Thank
fine.
you.
Are there other questions here from the
Hey,
commission? Yes, okay, Mr. Lewis, go ahead.
yeah, I just wanted to address something that Mr. Ghosh had said. I think the initial draft of my report that got forwarded to him was April 7th. And 12 days later, April 19th was the final report. So I wanted to make sure it wasn't like 2 months between the reports. It was 12 days.
Okay,
And
fine.
in that initial draft, I say that the front of the building is bowed approximately 4 inches and could collapse at any point. It is recommended that the safety perimeter be put in place. It was also at the time of the inspection that I told Jared Schiff that they had to get the bail bondsman out of the top floor. I was surprised there was a tenant in there. And then I go on also on that April 7th report to say the structural integrity of the interior walls have been compromised to the point that the only solution would be to totally remove all the bricks and try to rebuild the walls in their entirety. But, you know, given the condition of the building, this is not feasible, and the only possible recommendation is to fully demolish the building. So in that initial draft, I did express that.
So
Thank
has there been provisions to block off the sidewalk or to barricade a safety zone?
Okay, let's kind of stay on point here for a second here. What I'm hearing is that there is a third-party review that's in process that comes back. One option for the commission is to table it, okay, and look at it. And it's 1 month. It's not, you know, they're talking about 10 days or 2 weeks. 1 month from now, we meet again. So one option for this group is to wait until we have this review back from Mr. Ghosh. So what does the commission want to do? I think we've heard. I'm not trying to cut anybody off. Joe, I'm not trying to cut you off, or Jana, or anybody, or Mike Schiff or Mike Shannon. We've heard the, I think we understand
Excuse me,
the
this is
issues of the
Scott.
matter. What's everybody want to do? Scott, go ahead, real quick.
I was just saying, we're happy to table it if you want to get another opinion, but I don't want it to turn into we're trying to do the right thing with this, trying to level the lot and get rid
I
of
think the
things.
commission is trying to do the right thing too. So we appreciate that. What's the
Mike-
pleasure of
And
the
my
board?
name's Scott.
What's everybody want to do?
By the way, my name's Scott Schiff. I'm the better looking.
I'm sorry, Scott. Scott, I'm sorry. I misspoke. That's my fault.
My feeling about it, that you're asking, Steve, what I would be comfortable with is first, before the third-party report gets back, to somehow put caution tape or do something so that people know maybe not to walk on that side of the street, you know, just in case.
Yeah.
The other thing is, I think once the third-party report gets back, we should look at it as soon as possible. But I don't think we should approve demo before that, because I think we really need to know if this is the case. I think if it is the case, it's very important to act on it. But but then I do think getting to that point, we
Jana,
have.
what I think you're doing is you're saying you would like to move to table it. Is that correct?
Yes, but I think also, I think it's important that that third-party report gets back as soon as possible, that who's ever working on it knows that this could be, you know, this is a time-sensitive issue. And if it turns out that they feel it's a dangerous situation, I think we should act on it beforehand.
Okay, I think we're hearing that. Good. Okay. Any other comments then?
I second the
Okay,
table.
what's the pleasure? Is that a motion, Carol? Is that a motion, Jana, that you made?
Yes, yes.
Okay, is there a second?
I second.
Okay, Tony seconds. Now, there's a motion on the floor, seconded. Any other comments? Mike, did you want to say something else?
No, I'm good now at this point.
Okay. Does anybody else want to say anything else? Okay. All those in favor of tabling, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, that
Aye.
motion carries. I'm sorry, who is opposed? Did someone say?
The applicant.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
no,
Louis, that
that's
motion
inappropriate.
carries. Okay. That
Mr.
motion
Chairman,
carries. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, it's Mike
speaking?
Shannon. Mike Shannon. Yeah, just briefly, due to the technical difficulties, in my intro, I would have been remiss if I didn't mention Otto Beatty. Thank you for taking the time that you did at the beginning of the meeting. He was a mentor to so many practitioners. You could call him on any issue, and he would give you the benefit of his knowledge. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we lost a tremendous person with Mr. Beatty. Thanks for giving me the time, Mr. Chairman.
We did, and thank you for those comments, Mike. We appreciate that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll see you guys shortly. Louis, let's move on to the next case, please. Amit, thank you very much for your...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, commissioners.
Good job.
Okay. Louis. Louis, you're up.
I was muted. Apologize. So here we are. We're on the last application of the day. And this is a conceptual review, DC 2105016. There's no real address. It's just generally around the city of downtown. They're here for conceptual review, new construction. And the City of Columbus and the Capitol Crossroads Special Improvement District are proposing to install 3 to 5 Portland loos or similar prefabricated sidewalk restrooms within the boundaries of the CCSID in downtown Columbus. The intent is to provide the public with accessible sanitary facilities in highly visible public locations where they have been shown to have the greatest chance of success. The ADA compliant sidewalk restrooms will feature a flush toilet and an exterior hand washing stations, both of which will connect to the sanitary sewer. The materials show several general areas for the restrooms, but final sites have yet to be selected. The guidelines state that downtown is the region's neighborhood and a variety of facilities are supported to meet these needs. Buildings materials should be of high quality and durability, and the new development should support the multimodal status of downtown. So in summary, the proposal generally meets the guidelines with regards to design principles, materials, and sustainability. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Who is here to testify for the applicant, which I guess is, and who is the applicant again? Is this the city or the CID?
It's the CID, Mr. Chairman. I'm here representing the CID. My name is Mark Klingler. Also on the call today is my colleague, Lisa Diefendiefer. And yeah, we're here to talk about the public restroom project.
Sure.
I have a, sorry.
Could you raise your right hands and let's swear you in? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, I do.
I do.
Thank you.
Okay. I have a slide presentation. Louis, do you want to, can I just give you instructions when to move on to the next slide, or do you want me to?
You could share if you're more comfortable that way.
Okay, that might be easier if I can get it up here. Just a moment. Okay.
But if you'd like me to, I can do it as well, whatever you'd like.
Let's see. Yeah, maybe it's better if you do it, and I'll just tell you when to advance the next slide, if that's okay.
Oh yeah, of course. 1 second here.
Okay.
Okay, here we are. Just let me know when to go to the next slide.
Oh, okay. Let's go on down to the next. This is okay. That's good. All right. Good morning. My name, once again, is Mark Klingler. I'm with Capitol Crossroads Special Improvement District. My colleague Lisa Diefendiefer is also here with me today. We appreciate this opportunity to talk about the downtown public restroom project. As Louis mentioned, the City of Columbus has approved a project. They've allocated $875,000 in community development block grant funds for the installation of 3 to 5 permanent public restrooms in downtown Columbus. The city has contracted with my organization, Capital Crossroads, to manage the project. Next slide, please. The solution we've arrived at for providing restrooms downtown is the Portland Loo style prefabricated sidewalk restroom, which you see in this picture here. Next slide, please. This is a prefabricated unit which is installed in the public right-of-way. It's a highly visible and easily accessible restroom. The example you see in this image is prominently situated on Harvard Square in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It's a facility that's not intended to be hidden away, but should be placed where as many people as possible will see it. Next slide, please. These restrooms are ADA compliant. They have ample space to accommodate wheelchairs, bicycles, and strollers. Next slide. They're made almost entirely of grade 304 stainless steel. They have only a few fixtures and even fewer moving parts, which makes them resistant to vandalism. The overall design is simple and elegant, and the construction and finish are clean and attractive. Next slide. The restroom is designed for fast and easy cleaning. The smooth stainless steel surfaces can be hosed or wiped down quickly and easily. One cleaning typically takes 5 to 20 minutes. We anticipate having each unit cleaned an average of 3 times each day. Next slide. Public restrooms, of course, have a reputation for attracting criminal activity. The Portland Loo has several innovative features that discourage this kind of activity. A system of louvers that you see in these images allow people passing on the street to see if anyone is inside. The occupant knows that they're not invisible, which discourages them from doing anything suspicious or even from staying inside any longer than necessary. Also, the lighting inside the restroom, as you see in the lower right image, is tinted blue, which makes it difficult for potential IV drug users to see their veins and discourages them from shooting up inside. Next image. When it's equipped with an optional winterization package, the Portland Loo can be used year-round, withstanding temperatures to 30 degrees below zero. We'd certainly intend to have that option for our downtown restrooms. Next image. It's our intention to place these restrooms in high-need areas downtown. We consider high need to be areas with heavy foot traffic, in the vicinity of busy transit stops, and areas that are common cleanup sites for our ambassador team. Next image. We've identified 5 areas around major downtown intersections as prime locations. These are the areas with the heaviest foot traffic downtown, and they encompass the busiest COTA stops in all of Columbus. As you can see on this map, they are concentrated around the High Street corridor. Next image. The CDBG grant stipulates that the project must be completed by August 31st, 2022. We expect to begin the design phase in early July. SID staff will begin community outreach in earnest in the next couple of weeks. We anticipate returning to the Downtown Commission for project approval before the end of this year. And the last slide. That's all that I have to present. Thanks for your attention. Lisa and I are happy to answer any questions that you have about the project.
Well, let me start off. What is kind of driving this, if I might ask? How?
Well, the discussion has been around for at least 5 years in the CID to have public restrooms downtown because there are so few, as in so many American cities. Over the past decades, opportunities to use the restroom in downtowns have just been disappearing. And it's been in the air for years now here. When COVID hit, it really got reignited, and the impetus actually came from the Department of Development in the city. They approached us to renew a proposal that we put forward a few years ago.
How? I'm curious about. I saw that you showed plastic on the grab bars. Does the user put the plastic out, or is the plastic there? Does the plastic get replaced? Everyone, I'm curious about the sanitation of this thing.
Yeah.
It's open to the outside, right? Now, by the way, I remember the urinals in Paris, which were a great device here, which I guess are going away these days. But is this open? I mean, can you hear what's going on inside? You said you can see somebody.
Yeah.
So I would think, is there a privacy issue? And can you wash your hands when you're done? Or are you building in there's a sink there in there?
There's
Okay.
actually a sink. There's a hand sanitizer a dispenser inside. There's a sink, as you see in that image on the left. That sink is mounted on the outside. So
okay.
And that has two purposes. It means that someone could be washing their hands while somebody else is inside, but also it discourages what they call the hotel effect, where somebody shaves or washes their clothes on the inside. So it's very, very intentional that there is no opportunity on the inside to be doing that. And as far as those images you see with plastic, I think the plastic is on those grab bars because that's a very new unit and they haven't removed the packaging yet. So there aren't removable sanitary covers. But as far as sanitation is concerned, because they're so easy to clean, they can be cleaned multiple times a day. As I said, we anticipate cleaning them 3 times a day. So they can be sprayed down with a mild disinfectant, which is going to be pretty effective for something like COVID-19, of course, which lives only very briefly. There's still an opportunity, of course, for transmission, but that's why we insist on having the hand wash option and the hand sanitizer.
Did you mentioned that the actual little sink is outside the unit and there is a hand sanitizer inside? Is that what you said?
That's right, yes.
Okay. And then there is no urinal inside, only the toilet bowl?
Only the toilet bowl, that's correct.
So someone would have to lift up the lid?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see, is that something that, I know that these have been implemented in other cities. Is that something that's gotten negative feedback, or that seems to be okay with people? Because I'm wondering about just sanitary, having to take that extra step, whether you're putting that lid up or down.
Yeah, that's a good question. It's honestly not something that I've heard discussed in my research in this restroom. But that's a good point. Not having a urinal does encourage the kinds of problems that we're all too familiar with these restrooms. So people will have to resort to the same things that they resort to, using toilet paper to clean it. But once again, if they're being cleaned 3 times a day, we hope that can minimize and partially address that problem.
Are they also open would the intention be that they're open 24 hours a day? Or would they be closed or locked at a certain time at night?
Our intention is that they will be open 24 hours a day, and most cities that adopt them do hold to that policy. We do have the option, of course, if we find we're having trouble, we do have the option of locking them. There are even locks available that lock automatically at a certain time and unlock at a certain time. So there are options. We can be flexible about that. But yes, 24 hours is what we're aiming for.
And in other cities, there haven't been issues where, let's say, somebody at night would go in there and there might be a criminal in there and, problems. You feel that because it's so open, people could hear if there is an issue with a mugging or an attack or something like that?
That's the idea of this open design. It's really to discourage, to lessen this sense of isolation and to discourage people from staying inside or engaging in nefarious activity. What we've heard from other cities is, of course, there's never a case where there are no problems at all. Problems do come up, but we've just heard overwhelmingly positive responses and very few cases of where these kinds of activities have become really a problem, even though there may be isolated incidents. Where it is a problem is when the restrooms have been placed unwisely. That is, in places where there isn't heavy foot traffic, or where they're not highly visible, or where there's an opportunity for people to climb onto something and get onto the top of the unit. So if they're placed well and wisely, then we expect that the problems will be minimal.
Is there like an emergency call button inside these things?
There is not, and I asked the manufacturer if they have ever installed such a thing, and he said that they've never delivered the units with emergency call buttons. That's a question that's come up before. So far, no. I'm sure there would be a possibility to retrofit them with those, but it hasn't really been a subject of discussion.
Did you folks consider, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry. Is that Tony?
Yeah, just another question. Does the CDBG grant fund the operations after they're installed for any given amount of time?
No, it doesn't. It's only for the installation. So we've discussed with the city how that will work. The city is committed to providing a certain percentage of the cost of ongoing maintenance. Franklin County has also committed, not to a specific amount, but has agreed that they will take on part of the cost. We're also talking to CODA about that and hoping to persuade them to provide part of the cost too. So funding for ongoing maintenance hasn't been entirely nailed down, but we're confident that that's going to come together.
And that would be like a third party that would take care of that, be like on a contract?
Yes, that's right. In all probability, it will actually be our organization, Capital Crossroads, that takes that on, but that hasn't been determined yet.
Did you
Go
ahead, Tony.
Sorry, Steve. Last question. If anybody thought about sort of like creating a pilot and doing one and sort of see how it goes before we commit to the 5 or 6 or whatever the amount that I saw on the mapping?
That's a good question. That has certainly been discussed. As you may know, we've had portable toilets downtowns for the past 14 months. And we see that as a kind of a pilot program in itself. Of course, it's not the very same thing as these restrooms, but it certainly has given us a good feel for how dire the need is. And it's given us also a good sense, and a fairly positive one, of the level of abuse and misuse that these things take. I frankly have been managing this program with the portable toilets, and I've been pleasantly surprised that we've had so few incidents. So if we did put one in, well, we have this opportunity where that money is available. So if we don't avail ourselves of that, the full amount now, then we miss that opportunity. But there's also a certain economy of scale where we benefit from putting multiple units in.
Where are your portable toilets downtown that you've had down there recently, Mark?
The ones that
I have not noticed.
The Broad and High near CODA, near the bus stop in front of CODA's office, that's the real hub. That's the most frequently used spot. In fact, we have 2 of them right now at that spot. We have one near the Long and High intersection. We have actually 2 of them near Long and High, which is also a very heavily used area. We have 2 near Open Shelter on Mound Street between High and 3rd. Those are also very heavily used. And we have one at Trinity Episcopal Church at 3rd and Broad, also a very high need area.
Okay. Well, what are you asking for from us, Lewis? What are you asking for action from the Downtown Commission? Is this a COA thing, or is this another information thing?
This is just conceptual review at this point of time. Then they would come back later on to present to the commission.
Any questions or comments on this?
Is that right, Mark?
Yes, that's right. We just want to put this before you and see what comes back.
I think it might be a good idea with the locations that you've selected, and I know you've selected them because those are the ones with the most foot traffic, to do maybe a rendering, like a photograph, and then place them on there, because you said they are supposed to look prominent and the placement is very important. And then just see, okay, how does that look within the context? Because I'm noticing the one near Trinity Church, I'm not quite sure how much land is around, how much room you have. So I think it would be important to see, there might be a few where you have to really think about, is this going to work on the site and, look attractive? So it just might be a good exercise as you're developing your locations and thinking about it in more detail.
Do
Looking at it in context.
the adjacent property owners ever get a say in this, or do you hear any comments from them?
Yes, absolutely. And that's our next stage, really. We'll be working in the next few weeks on reaching out to property owners, having that conversation with them. We've had a few conversations and gotten some feedback so far. Our board members, for example, our board is very much on board, so to speak, with this program. But the formal outreach to property owners is going to begin very soon, and we will certainly take into account their point of view. We hope to, for very positive responses and to win over anyone who's resistant.
I'm wondering, you said in your comments when you started describing this project that you plan to put them in places, and I forget your wording, where the SID said you had problems?
Yeah, right. Yeah, one indication that there's a high need, and Lisa could probably speak to this better than I could. Lisa, do you want to answer that?
Well, sure. So, we do provide a variety of services downtown, and cleaning in the public realm is one of them. So when we talk about high need areas, we definitely see the signs when there are no restrooms in particular areas. So we have been cleaning a lot of urine and defecation up, unfortunately. And I will, just to give you some idea of the extent of the issue, I mean, it's always been a problem downtown. But I would say we were struck, and I think the development office was particularly struck when we had photos next to next to a parking garage near the YMCA, and there were bushes along the north side of the parking garage, and literally people were using the areas between the bushes as like parking, or as like bathroom stalls. So anything you'd find in a public restroom, you found like in these sort of de facto stalls, and it just illustrated again just the need, but particularly in the last year, the urgency that there's just not available restrooms for the general public.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I figured that's what you folks were getting around to, and I appreciate your bringing that up. So let me ask you this: other places you've done it, and I know that's kind of your due diligence background work. Have they been pleased with it? I mean, I guess in the best of all possible worlds, we wouldn't need to put these things on the sidewalk. Frankly, that last comment that you just made is for me is an important reason to do this. By the way, do you think that the people that use the bushes would then also feel free to use this, or because sometimes they may not necessarily they may prefer their bushes or whatever. And I'm not trying to be snide about that. Does this provide a solution to that problem? Because that can be a nasty problem.
And Mark, I can defer to you too, but I can just speak to what we're seeing, particularly around the open shelter, where there's a high need for public facilities. And I think there's not just for folks who are in need down that are living outside of the open shelter and utilizing those services, but also eventually for the folks who are going to the courthouse and maybe riding the bus down that area. So I will tell you, the operators of the open shelter and the users of those services are very grateful for those services and value them a great deal. And I've got to say, it would be the same with every location. Now, having said that, I think this will address probably, and I'm making this up a little bit, but I think we'll still have issues that we'll be doing cleanups outside of the restrooms. But by and large, I think this is the right thing to do, and I think it gives, it's dignified. So I think people.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions? We've got one more case. Has everybody heard the story on this?
Yeah, I have one question.
Go ahead, Mike.
You said that these can be accessible in all seasons. Are they heated then? Is there some kind of a heating device in there?
There's no heating of the space itself. The heating is exclusively in the plumbing to prevent it from freezing. So it's not at -30. It's not going to be a comfortable place to go into, but at least the plumbing's not going to freeze. So
Yeah, my
complete heating
concern
in the
was would somebody tend to try to sleep in one of these overnight or something?
Yeah, they won't be comfortable places to sleep overnight. No.
Well, one thing I might offer is we provide safety services to downtown. So these, I mean, we'll be doing the cleaning of them probably, and then we'll also be providing the safety around them. So we will be checking them for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Folks, thank you very much. Appreciate your bringing this into us. Any other questions? Okay, thanks. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much.
Let's
Appreciate the time.
Okay, our pleasure. Thank you. Lewis, let's move on to the next case then, our last case. And we're back at the stadium, right? Can you go through this one fairly quickly then, Lewis, for us?
Can you hear Lewis?
I cannot hear Lewis. Lewis, have you?
I'm sorry.
Back.
I'm
No
sorry.
problem.
Yep. Keep leaving myself muted. Here we go. So the last case, I meant to vote on this earlier. It just slipped my mind. But so this is just Columbus Crew Way. This is the new Cahill. I don't know if it's Cahill or Cahill Drive. It's a new east-west road by the parking garage. And so all we're looking for here is a recommendation for the Department of Public Service. And for the most part, this meets the guidelines, generally meets the
Okay,
guidelines.
and this is the north-south road, right?
No, this is the east-west road.
The one on the north side of the stadium then?
No. This is here. This is south of the
between the
parking
office building and the
Between the office building, right, and the
Exactly. So yeah, so it's got brick pavers, it's got string lighting, it's gonna have this landscaping. I asked them for a planting schedule. And so here you can see the sections of the roadway and everything like that. So this is just for a vote on a recommendation.
This alley is going to be one of the nicest roads in Columbus. I think we've kind of seen this along the way. Does anybody have a problem with this?
I just have a quick question. The lighting, it looks like you have the string light. And is that the only lighting for the alley? Is that the primary lighting for the alley?
Well, I'm sorry. I think the applicant's gone at this point in time. Oh yeah, they were the applicants for the parking garage. And we voted on the garage, but we forgot to take up a vote on this right here.
I wondered. I thought you were going to save this for last. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm going to go ahead and ask for we don't need to table this, do we? Commissioners, what's your I think, I don't know, everybody feel comfortable? I think Jana has a good question. It looks to me like they're planning on putting those there, but I would trust them to have good lighting. I mean,
right.
I would good developers on both sides. So I'd be willing to entertain a motion to just recommend that it looks good. In fact, it looks great.
Yep, I'd second.
Okay. Shall we say that's a motion on the floor? Any other questions or comments? I guess the only person we can ask a question of is Lewis. So hearing no questions, all those in favor of recommending go to the city, vote yes, please. Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, good. Thank you. Lewis, do we have any other business, old or new?
So the one thing I was going to discuss that I did put on the agenda, let me pull it up here real quick, is we have this ongoing discussion. Steve, you bring it up whenever lighting comes up, is about the lighting.
Yes.
And the other thing that we discussed at the end of the last meeting as well was the review of private art. If you recall, that did come up at the last meeting. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. These things are always take some time. And I have been in conversation with Building and Zoning Services and the city attorney's office There has been conversations with the director of development to see how we can move forward with these ideas and with these proposals. I think so far the lighting and graphic standards research that is adopting section 3378 like we've discussed in the past. I think that's something that that may have some traction, that maybe it can be done. I can't say for sure right now, but we are looking into it, and we have been discussing how to make that happen. The review of the exterior private art, that one is still in its infancy. We're still discussing that with the city attorney's office to see if we have that kind of a purview and whether or not legally we can review that kind of thing because it's not associated with a COA. But I'm still chipping away at those things, and hopefully I have some more solid information for you or proposals here in the future.
Okay. Just while I got the commission here, what are your thoughts on the art? I mean, if it's somebody's got their building and they want to put something on it, do we need to approve that? I mean, assuming it's not a graphic, you know, where they're trying to advertise something, it's just literally art. Is that something we need to approve, or should somebody? It's like your living room. Should you be able to hang the picture on the wall that you want to have, or what's everybody think about that? Just as a conversation thing. And feel free, you're not under oath, Tony, so go ahead.
I just feel like we gotta be able to have a really good definitions as to what art is and what any sort of signage or content or graphic would be. Because if we don't have that definition completely figured out, we're gonna be riding the line all the time, and it's gonna get really goofy in terms of the conversation.
Okay.
So that's one of the concerns. Let me just address that is with the private art. We already know the city can evaluate what's private art and what's an on-premise graphic. Essentially, if it's associated with a product sold at that establishment, right? And so, yeah, it can get a little murky, and our questions are as well as, we can't really discuss the content of art. That's kind of protected speech. So it could also kind of be a legal minefield, trying to make sure that we're reviewing it in an appropriate manner without getting into the content of the graphics as well.
Maybe if the location or when we're reviewing the project to see, okay, the context of this art piece with the rest of the project, so that it helps us review the project that, we're more enlightened in how we're reviewing that project because we already understand the art piece. So I think it's important for us to be aware of it and maybe make recommendations. And I don't think it would have to be about the content, but maybe when we're making recommendations about the project in general, that will, be a part of that, how those two things interact.
I'm done here immediately, real quick.
Much like we do ad murals as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
The issue is we don't have all of our COAs are attached to a permit, and there's no permit for paint. So legally, we have to figure out if that's something we can do.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
tricky. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm just throwing it out to think about things. Okay, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I got one that's has nothing to do with this, but that Main Street shift job project.
Yep.
Are we gonna try to get ahead of that a little bit before next month? Because I feel like that one's got some hair on it still. And I don't think we could kick the can another month for those guys. One of the things that I'm thinking about is that, that thing sits on an island in the parking lot. I think contextually it has no value in my mind historically anymore. I think that, it's sort of holding things up in that area in my mind. And this is all my view of things.
Tony, I don't know if we want to be discussing the project when it's no longer on the agenda with the applicant here. I think we should just try and avoid that at this point in time, and just make sure we discuss that with the applicant and their attorney here as well, if that's okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Sure.
However,
with that one though,
the meeting is still in and it is an open meeting. They've left, but they didn't have to leave. But anyway,
so are you fine discussing it, Steve, then?
No, but I don't mind hearing Tony's. I think we should probably avoid, but I don't mind his comment. And by the way, if anybody else had a comment, that's fine too about anything.
I just think we ought to stay consistent in how we handle those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and I think part of the thing is, if they have a new project coming along, let's bring the new project along, but,
Yeah.
so, okay.
My only concern is if, they are correct and this really poses an imminent danger, I think that the report should be a priority to get it back, and that maybe in the meantime, there should be some way to caution off the area, just so that we feel we don't really know, but we are taking every precaution just in case. So
But
that's
it's the owner's
Well,
responsibility to
the
take.
precautions have to come from the owner, though.
Yeah.
okay, or at least we make a recommendation that that's what we think they
Well,
should do.
yeah, but that's their business. I mean, if
Right,
they're,
I guess
they're running
that's
around
true.
with all kinds of reports saying, it's so dangerous, and then they choose to do nothing. I mean,
Exactly, that does
that's
seem
not a
very
downtown
strange.
commission issue. So, okay. Any other thoughts on anything else? Guys, I'm sorry, here we go, 2 hours and 15 minutes. Yes. Oh, Lewis.
Just give me a vote on the staff approvals, please.
Okay. Everybody look at those things.
Mhm.
Anybody got a question on them?
No.
No.
All those in favor of approving staff approvals, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Lewis, I guess you get off one more month, huh? You made it. Okay.
I wish I had a break between meetings. The new applications come in tomorrow, I think, so.
Oh, there they go. Hey, thanks, everybody. Have a great Memorial Day weekend. Nice to see everybody. Enjoy the day. Talk to you soon. Thanks for your time.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, have a good weekend.
You
You
too.
too. Bye-bye.